we have breaking news. We have multiple reports that it is now official. Jack Del Rio is the new head coach.
I just
of
guaranteed
the
it about
Oakland
2
Raiders.
minutes ago.
Congratulations.
I told you.
Yeah, you
I've
had
been
it
telling
pegged.
you for
You had it pegged. Look,
I've known this from the beginning because of
he
his
seemed
love
like a good
for
fit
Oakland.
for them.
Yeah,
He's from Northern California. He's been a head coach in the league. He's got a presence about him. He's got a kind of a Raider look and mentality about him. And the Raiders needed to do something to make a splash instead of hiring the same old they've been hiring.
I told you so, but let me tell you 2 things that really stood out in my mind. I've spent a lot of time talking with Jack about his background, and you go, really? Why would you do that? I referred to him when he took over for John Fox last year as the son of a Mexican-American and an Italian mother. And he came over to me and said, my father was not Mexican-American. And he kind of just left it laying out there like I'd had a big turd I'd put out there. But every reference to him when he I don't know any other way to do it. He's just laying there like a dog.
This big steaming turd.
So I did research, and I mean, I had done research before that, and when he took the Jacksonville job, in Jacksonville, they referred to him as the son of a Mexican father and a Mexican-American father and an Italian-American mother. And that just, it's on Wikipedia, it was everywhere. So I wanted to pick that off the ground and correct it. So I spent a lot of time talking his background.
You picked the turd off the ground?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like you do.
I hope you wore gloves.
Well, you get those plastic bags. But I went to Jack and I said, I'd like to talk to you about your background. And it's one of the most fascinating stories I've ever heard. His great-great-grandfather migrated from Spain to Hawaii because they were looking for workers in pineapple fields and in macadamia nut fields. And they offered a house for a guy's family and 4 years of employment. And then the house belonged to you, and you got an acre of land. That looked pretty impressive to a guy living in Spain when Spain was having a lot of issues internally between the Basque and the Spaniards. And so his great-great-grandfather took that job, and like a lot of those people who came from Europe that went over to Hawaii, after 4 years of hard labor, 18 hours, 6 days a week, they sold that house to a Hawaiian and moved to California. That's a short history of Jack Del Rio. He is the son of a Spanish American, and so but his father would take him and his brothers to games. They lived pretty close. His father and his
To Oakland Raiders games?
Yeah, they were close. They were in Hayward, California. Is maybe 45 minutes. Think Castle Rock or Fort Collins. So they pick out a couple of games a year and they go to it. He then went, as you well know. He's in the University of Southern California Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And he was a great catcher. He caught Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson, yeah.
Caught Randy Johnson. He was debating whether to be a football player.
He was a
great
two-sport star.
Player.
Yeah.
He's a tough player. He would go on Sundays because the Raiders were the Los Angeles Raiders then. And he told me that was the most convenient thing, that when he moved to L.A., so did the Raiders. And so he'd go and hang out, like a kid who, Peyton, hanging out with his father when he was growing up. So he's always had a close relationship and love for the Raiders. When he took Jacksonville back, in my research, and Benjamin was kind of making fun of me, but I do a great deal of research to be as well prepared as I can, even though I come with one-page note. I love doing research. He took his Jacksonville team back to Oakland, first time. And that was a big moment for him. And he said in an interview, someday I'd like to come back to Oakland. I loved it.
Just got his wish. Hey,
that's in the story.
Yeah, for those not aware, Jack Del Rio was the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars
everybody knows that.
For 8 seasons. He was
playoffs.
68 and 71. Went to the playoffs twice. The games he coached for the Broncos last year as the interim head coach, did he get credit for those wins and losses?
Well, here's the story about that. I went up to him and I said, you're over 500 now. And he went, I'm kind of aware of that.
Yeah, it kind of makes him 71-71 and 1, doesn't it? Or no, 71 and 72.
He's a 500 coach now.
He is.
He was 4-1. I think you're kind of lame short.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought he was 3-1.
No, he's 4-1. 5 games.
Well, then he's 500.
He's a 500 coach. That's why I went to it.
Okay.
You're now a 500 coach.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm aware of that. And he said, I don't know whether it counts. You just asked the question. Guess what?
It does.
It doesn't.
No, really. So he's still 68 and 71.
Asked John Fox, he said, "Those are mine." Same John Fox who told me I wasn't there, but
Yeah.
if I am Jack Del Rio, I count them. But if you were to look him up, it doesn't exist. Those are John Fox. You know, if baseball manager is kicked out, suspended for 3 days, it's still his.
Okay.
his.